everyone, this is Nikki with the Appalachian Farm Life. Today what we got going on is apples. It is the middle of September, almost the end of September, and it is absolute apple season right now. Here in eastern Kentucky, we get pretty decent apples, not like how they do up north in like Michigan or Indiana. That's where I'm from. I was born and raised in Indiana, but I've been down here in Kentucky for quite a while now. And I'm learning their ways of what to do and how to process our food and keep it and store it so that we can have it during the winter. We live really far. We live out of town. We live really far away from a store. The closest Family Dollar is like a 20-mile round trip. So like today, my peeler broke while I'm doing my apples. Just busted in like a whole bunch of pieces. Well, I don't have that option of running down to the store. So I have a paring knife, you know, I could do that, we could use that. So, a lot of things, Appalachian style is what I want to call it, is different from being up north. There's just a huge difference. The air is different, the soil is different, the whole lifestyle of being down here is absolutely completely different. Definitely not as fast paced, definitely more community type people. You know, I know anywhere you go, there's going to be some crazy people, but up north, everything is 24/7. You can go to the store anytime you need to. If you run out of butter, you can just run down 2 miles down the road and go get your butter. Well, here in eastern Kentucky, where I live at, we do not have that option. So if I want fruit in the middle of winter, then I need to preserve it. And I can go to the store, but the local store, which is a Save-A-Lot, is, I think, about 28 miles one way. So if we want to go into town, you know, it's a good all-day trip. Now, if we want to go to Walmart, that's even worse. That means it's at least 45-minute drive one way, 45 minutes back, and an hour or two inside the store. So I try to get everything grown here on the property. Or my friend Lori, she has property also, and she's got a YouTube channel called My Country Cousin. This is where all these apples came from, was off of her property. She lives in another county over than me. They already did a bunch of applesauce, did a bunch of apples, and gave some away, and they still have tons. So I went and got a whole bunch of them, and what I do is you break it down. First, we eat them. Apples, you just straight out eat them. After that, then I take them and I cut them up, put them in some nice lemon water, and then I put them in the freeze dryer, which I'll show you that here in a little bit. After the freeze dryer, then the ones that have got little spots on them and stuff that are still way good, but aren't as pretty, they go in for fried apples. After that, then you got applesauce. So you just break it down. You break it down and you use whatever little bit that you can. I use a quart. I've seen people have all the peelers and stuff like that. I would love to have a peeler, but the thing is, I live in eastern Kentucky and I am poor. It is what it is. I do have a freeze dryer that most people don't have, but I was blessed to be able to get that. And then I have a canner also. So, you know, and then after that, I have a freezer. We process it somehow. Make some apple butter. Make apple sauce. It's so easy. You put it in a slow cooker. Put apples inside of it, cut them up, put them in a slow cooker. But processing is the main thing. See, now this apple, it was kind of icky it looked icky on the outside, even right here on the stems. Some of them are not as pretty. Look at, we got spots right here. That's a little bad spot. But when I show you what I do, then you don't hardly have any at all. These are the best apples I've ever eaten in my life. I have no idea what kind they are. All I do know is that they grow up my friend's property. Some years they're good, some years are not. It just depends on how cold it gets in the spring and all that other stuff. So the temperatures have to be pretty good here in eastern Kentucky to be able to grow apples without. A lot of times they're kind of small and they're almost like this a lot, you know. But that's how it is, you know. They're not perfect apples from the grocery store, and they're not going to be. Never will be. So this is what we do. We got it cut. We got it peeled, and then I'm just going to take this cord and I'm going to plug the middle of it. Now I know that there's apple peelers and everything, but what happens if your power breaks? and you still want an apple. Well, I guess they are. I've seen some that are automatic and have power and stuff like that. But I just like it simple. It's less things to break down. So I get the core out, get the core out, rinse it off real well. I already did a whole bunch of them, so I'm not going to showing you how to cut apples. But see, in the middle, you cored it, but you still got this right here, and then you got some junk in the middle, and you got little spots. But when I do this, cut it in half, way less. And look at all this meat that's left on it. So then, after that, I slice them into pretty little pieces. Now, doing this will give you so much more meat. It's really weird. Well, I guess it was weird in my mind because I never did this stuff when I was living up north. You don't have places for trees. You don't have places, well, like for apple trees. Some people do it. We live in the city. There's no room for that. So, no room for gardens. And then look at most all this in here. It does have little pieces on it, but most of it, when you slice it like that, perfect. You could take a somewhat ugly apple and make it perfect just by cutting it. And then I take this little piece off and I just put it in there. Perfect. This one's even a little big, doesn't matter, put it in there. These ones are going in the freeze dryer. See, this one's got some ugly spots on it. I'll just cut the little hard spots off. Well, this one probably needs this half. And then all the rest of it goes to my hogs. Nothing will go to waste. Even if it's got a little icky spot on it, it's all right. It's not going to hurt nothing. Just cut the hard parts off. Because the hard part will not cook down. It'll stay in there. It'll be hard, especially if you're making fried apples. It's not too cool. But you get a way more meat that way than you would of just peeling it and cutting the apple. You do still have a couple bad spots, but I mean, look at all. This is just, I think that's 10 apples in there. And that's what I counted out. And you just trim off a little piece right there, and that's it. See, I'll get a little closer. Look at this little piece right here is just a little hard spot. It's where the seeds are. Cut it. Look at it. Perfect. Delicious. Best apples I have ever eaten in my life. I truly, truly, they're so good. Everything here in the Appalachian Mountains. Sorry, I have an apple in my mouth, obviously. Excuse me. I truly feel that the wind, the air, the less pollution than where I lived at up north, because we lived right by the steel mills. The sun, the soil, everything changes what your food tastes like, obviously. My tomatoes, best tomatoes you will ever eat in your life. All right, so I got a whole bunch done right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to load them up in the freeze dryer. This is my little bucket for the hogs. See, everything goes in here. All scraps, everything goes to the hogs. Stay clean. Stay clean when you're processing. You do not want to process dirty. Keep everything clean. I'm always wiping down. I got a bucket of bleach water, clean towels, all that stuff. Okay, so I'm going to drain these apples. Here's some more apples. I got a lot of apples to do. I'm going to drain these out because these are going in the freeze dryer. Rinse them a little bit. Rag out, dust the table off, and get my trays. Now, I have on my freeze dryer, I'm not going to do a tutorial on that right now, but I have a Harvest Right freeze dryer, and right now it's running its pressure test right now. It's, or vacuum test is what it's called. So that's probably what you're hearing in the background. Actually, I get to stop it now because it's done. Okay. These are the trays for the freeze dryer. I got 3 trays. These are really, really nice. This is Harvest Right. They're really nice trays. I think they're stainless steel, but they're really nice. And they're made for, you can take the food and put it directly on there. Now, when you freeze dry, you're only supposed to put, I think it's like a pound of food on this tray. Now the bigger ones can hold more. This is a little bit of a, this is the smallest one that you can get. It's the only one I could afford. So you can't fill them up. You cannot like load them up and expect everything to freeze properly and dry properly, because it just won't. So I line them all up. I'll show you what I do. And then we'll put them inside the freeze dryer. Set it all up. The freeze dryer is really fun. I found that there's a lot of things that you can freeze dry. Pretty much anything that, let's say you went to a Chinese restaurant and you came home, you had some leftovers or anything like that. If you want to run your freeze dryer, you can put that in your freeze dryer. Milk is pretty good inside there. I haven't done any milk yet, but I'm planning on it. I'd like to powder some and maybe make some creamer or something like that, maybe some half and half and stuff, try to get that going. Just because I've never done it and I'd like to try it. So, and then I'd have some powdered milk. So, because like going to the store where I live at, you know, you take a $3 gallon of milk, and then if you have to drive 20 some miles one way, then you know, you might as well jack that gallon of milk up to like $9, $10, because after you get done with gas and whatnot. So, I am going to make sure that we have milk, because if it starts to snow or we get ice or anything like that, it will call off schools. There will be no schools, and you cannot get out. So the roads here are not straight. They're not flat. They're not nothing like that. So we have to prepare ourselves for anything. I'm not preparing for the end of the world or anything like that. I'm preparing for winter. Okay? I'm preparing for a snowstorm, because that's just smart. It's not ignorant, you know, having food available, especially when you live way far away from anything. I mean, we really do. You can look it up. It's Eazell, Kentucky. It's not close. Okay, so this is parchment paper. Do not use wax paper, because it'll melt inside of the freeze dryer. The freeze dryer gets extremely cold and then extremely hot. It is very neat. But this feels like a good amount of apples. I have done it. I've tried to stuff things in there, and it does not work. They do not come out properly. So, and it takes at least 24, 25, up to 40 hours to do each batch. So you don't want to sit there and pack it full, and 40 hours later, it's just not done, because it has a humidity control in there, because this is all wet. You can freeze these before you stick them inside the freeze dryer also. But how I feel is I bought a machine, you know, and it was pretty expensive, that I don't have the room to put the stuff inside the freezer. That machine just needs to do it all by itself. So there's quite a bit of maintenance with it, but with anything you're going to have maintenance. It's not a whole bunch. It's oil. You have to change oil and stuff. I might do a video on my freeze dryer one day, but not right now. I'm just trying to get these apples done, because they need to be cut. So sometimes it is what it is. They got to get done. So this parchment paper, I already pre-cut it. This has already been washed. My freeze dryer's already set up. I'm ready to go. I've been cutting those apples for half the morning. And then it takes a lot slower when you do it by hand. If I had a peeler, it would just go probably a lot quicker. But I don't. It is what it is. If I don't have it, I'll make do with what I have and use whatever. This feels pretty heavy, so we're just going to leave it like that. You don't want to overload these things, not at all. I might need to cut some more. I thought I cut enough. All right. Yeah, I'm going to cut another apple, and then I'm going to start up the thing, so the freeze dryer. So I'm going to turn this off for a minute, cut up some more, get them ready, because I thought I cut a good amount, but I guess I didn't. And then I'll show you the freeze dryer and put them in there. It's kind of easy. You just put them in there. So, all right, I'll be back in just a minute.